like, damn, it's a 3-hour episode. What they talking about?
That's basically what it is. Hey, y'all, listen. Lucky for y'all today, I'm here with this amazing author, Mattie James, author of Everyday Magic, The Joy of Not Being Everything and Still Being More Than Enough. Okay, she's also Miss Liberia, all right? So put some respect on it, okay? Y'all need to go get this book, and we about to dig into it. Y'all are in for a treat. I am so excited. First of all, I have too much to say. We have too much to talk about.
We're going to be here for a minute.
This is going to be a 7-hour episode today.
And you're just going to have to watch it all.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, first of all, so that's my first question actually is, tell me about how you became Miss Liberia, because I just need to know that story.
First of all, it's so funny because the other day I was like, wait, I won Miss Liberia in 2009. Like, I've lived a life.
You have lived,
I have lived a life. So my parents are Liberian. I'm first American generation, me and my sister Maya. And I wanted to be, I wanted to take part in the pageant. I've always wanted to be a beauty queen. That was just, I watched all the pageants growing up. I just, just none of this surprises you, right?
None.
I have always been who I've been. And so I got the opportunity. I found out just like through the Liberian community in Atlanta where I'm based. We have a pretty large Liberian community, and I heard that they were doing the Georgia pageant, and so I just asked around, and this was in 2009, and everybody was just like, girl, you're not going to win, so you might as well not do it. Yeah.
Oh, just out here, just crushing dreams.
Oh, just crushing dreams, you know what I mean?
Rude with it.
And my parents, who are very encouraging and have always been, even they were pretty doubtful.
They were like, I don't know, sis.
Yeah, because what they call me was Quee. Like in the Liberian community, when you're super American, they call you Quee. So they're like, you're kind of Quee. You probably not going to win it and stuff like that. So I'm like, my Gemini competitive spirit was like, actually, no, I'm finna go win it now. Because now
you said, watch me.
You're playing in my face, and I don't like it. So I was engaged to Chris at the time, and he was like, babe, go get it. So got all the information.
See, Chris was focused.
He was focused.
That's why he's still around.
He's an executor. He was like, if this is what we're going to do, then let's go do it.
Exactly.
That's all he needed. So I found out about it and just got all the information, did the practices, really cultivated some beautiful relationships with the other, contestants. And I just went out there and killed it. The girl who won first runner-up was like, if you could create a Liberian Barbie, she was it. Yes. She was stunning. She was the social butterfly in the singing. But baby, I came to win. I didn't come to do nothing else.
She's like, even your beauty can't stop me.
You know what I mean? And she was great. But I was like, I just came to win. And I think really what won it for me was I deeply care about my people. Yes. I really do. And you can't really fake that. You know what I mean? You can fake being nice, but I really cared about my people. And so and you had to present a platform.
Yes.
And one thing about me is if I care about something, I will definitely sell it. I can sell anything to anybody. And I sold it.
We have that in
common. One of my favorite things about you. And so I won the Georgia pageant, and I went to Philly and competed in the national pageant. And again, really when I sought out to do the state pageant, I was like, I'm only doing the state pageant to win the national pageant.
Yes.
Like this was just a step to what the actual goal was, to be honest. And so I went to Philly. I ended up winning the national pageant. It was incredible. It was just probably one of the most magical moments. And it just, I still get goosebumps thinking about it now because it literally was a dream come true. And my parents were blown away because they're like, oh no, she really went out and did that. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, guys, like when I want something, I'm gonna go get it. And so, yeah.
I love that so much.
Thank you.
Like what a way, because I think sometimes, especially as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we're so afraid to put ourselves out there.
Yes.
Like you are putting yourself out there on a whole nother level when you enter a pageant.
Yes.
You know?
Their swimsuit. Because of this pageant, we had traditional wear, so you had to wear something that was traditionally Liberian.
Yes.
You had to say hello in like the tribe that you were from or your parents were from. And I am very Queen. Let me be clear. I'm very American. So I was like, okay, Mom, so how do you say this? What tribe are we from?
You were like, I'm going to study. I'm going to practice.
But I got it down, you know what I mean? And I think really what won it for me for the national pageant was the final question, which for most pageants it comes down to. And the question was, if you could change one thing about Liberia, what would you change? Most people said, of course, like education, helping women and children, all great answers.
Yeah.
I was reading a book at the time called Confidence, and it was by a Harvard business professor, and I talked about how I would change the confidence of Liberian people, because after experiencing a civil war, if you can change the mindset of somebody, you can change everything,
literally
about
everything
the infrastructure,
else.
about anything, right? And I think that just...
that is a winning answer.
That was it.
Okay?
That was it. Like, I was like, when it came out of my mouth, I was like, girl, y'all might as well give me the crown now.
Just go ahead and crown me right now.
I'll let everybody else go, but I'm ready.
Listen, show up. Know you came to win.
Listen, winners win, baby.
That's right. I love it so much. Okay, so tell me, like, how did you become an influencer? Tell us that story.
Oh, I love this story so much. So I left home, I went to school, until I was about a junior in college, and then I left because I thought I was going to New York to become a pop star.
Listen,
baby,
you got to have goals.
The way my West African daddy was like, oh, you grown? You not going to school no more? You're cut off financially.
Oh, so he's just like me.
Yes. Cut me off.
That sounds like something I would do.
Cut me off. And it's the best thing he's done for me, truly.
Yes.
It really, really was, because I learned how to hustle. I had lived in a bubble all my life, and I learned how to hustle in New York. But in New York is where I discovered blogs. And I remember going to work. I was temping for... funny enough, it was Random House. I was actually temping for an editor there. Yeah, funny enough. And I was like on the computer one day, and I saw my coworker. I was like, well, what are you reading? It was like news. There was like celebrities. I was like, well, what are you reading? And she was like, it's a blog. And I was like, what's that? So she introduced me to that. A year later, I moved to Atlanta, and I started my own blog. It was very trash. It was not good.
Wait, so what year is this?
So I lived in New York 2005, 2006. I got to Atlanta in 2007. I'd spent some of my childhood in Atlanta, but decided to go back. And I started a blog. I called it The Minority Report. I talked about Black pop culture and stuff like that. But here's the thing about celebrity news. It is very, very time sensitive, and I wasn't keeping up with the times, baby. I just wasn't keeping up with the times.
You got to be around the clock journalist.
When the PR release comes out, baby, when that press release come out, you got to put it out, and I just was not keeping it up. So I was like, well, I like blogging, but I actually want to talk about something that's not so time sensitive. So I started talking about style and beauty, and I really enjoyed that. And when I won Miss Liberia in 2009, I got a lot more followers, and I was like, you know what? Let me get serious about this. In 2010, I started my first blog, which was, my first like real serious blog, which was MattieOlogy.com. And that's how I got into it.
That was my start year too. 2010.
2010 was just big, I think, for us, like especially women of color, Black women online. Really, it was huge for us, and especially just there wasn't many of us. So I really started to hopefully encourage women who look like us to start their thing, start showing up online, because we're here. And so
and so are you working a job while you're building this blog?
So I had an internship during Miss Liberia. During that process, me and Chris were engaged and stuff like that. I did the internship until the end of 2010. Thought I was going to just all of a sudden blow up as a blogger. My very, very generous husband was like, yeah, you're fine, babe. Don't worry about work. And we didn't have kids at the time. Baby was brokety broke. Chris thought if he quit his job and joined me, we could make money. That also wasn't the answer.
That didn't work out.
Nobody worked out. Wasn't great. So we went ahead and got our shit together in 2011, and he got a new job and I got a full-time job. But coincidentally, when I started making money at the job, I got better at blogging because I could finance that side hustle, right?
Exactly.
Because it takes money to make money.
But
when you're in your 20s, usually you don't immediately get that. So I, started getting paid. I think I got paid $250 my very first brand partnership.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, it was for an American Express prepaid debit card.
Okay, American Express.
And they gave us tickets to the Earth, Wind, and Fire concert. Baby, I was out there. I was like, I am VIP. American Express sent me. Ask about me, okay? We are out here. But I was even the story now excites me because I genuinely love what I do. And that was my starting point. Like, if I didn't get that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
And how did you get that? Did they reach out to you?
So they reached out to me. It was a gentleman who worked for a PR company based in Dallas, Texas. And he reached out to me. And that's slowly but surely, because I didn't really know about pitching. I just was like putting myself out there and hoping for the best. And I did that pretty consistently for about a year to about 18 months. And then I got my first big offer, which was 5 figures.
Yes.
And it was amazing. It was, I just didn't even understand that you could make that much money from blogging. And again, especially somebody that looked like me, because the big bloggers, they're
all white guys.
They were all white guys, or they were white women who looked like models going to New York Fashion Week. So it was very, very few people who look like us who were doing it, and most of the bloggers at the time who were Black who were doing it were entertainment bloggers, and they were in New York or LA.
Right.
So I was just like, I was happy. I was like, you wanted to pay me $10,000 to do what? All right, then I'll be there.
I will do any number of things for $10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
All of them together.
All of them together. You need that when? Excellent. I'll have that. Exactly.
The negotiation skills came later.
Yeah, they came later. Just
They're
was
not
happy,
up front.
Just happy for the 5 figures.
That was me as a new lawyer. I'm like, family law case? No problem. I'm not a family lawyer, but I will take that. I will handle that divorce for you.
A case? You want me on a case? Got it.
Exactly. I'll take it. That case, 5 years later, I was still stuck with that case. I was like, why did I take this? I've lost money, actually.
No, literally. Well, same thing, like licensing deals, and I didn't even know about licensing, so I was just like letting people have a perpetual license to things I created. And I look back now, and I'm like, are you having a stroke? What's happening?
I'm very anti-lifetime access to anything. Anything in any way. No, you don't get access to anything I've ever done for a lifetime.
It just doesn't work.
Not for any one flat fee.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, for a flat fee? No. Yes. You can have this for 90 days, and then if you want it for longer, you can give me more money.
Yeah, you can pay me again. Exactly. That's how that works now.
But baby, I was just out here happy. Yes. I didn't know what perpetual meant for a long time, and then like finally was able to afford an attorney. And I was like, you know what? We probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, we're gonna scratch out that word perpetual.
and at least don't do perpetual for free.
Listen, Lord,
at least charge for it.
We've all played ourselves in various ways. Listen, it's part of the journey. And so, one of the questions I want to ask you is about consistency.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is part of the magic formula, which we'll talk about in a minute. Yeah. But like, talk to me about consistency. Like, how consistent were you with your blogging? How often were you blogging, and how long were you doing it, like, before you got that Amex deal? Because I think people think like, oh, I showed up and I started blogging and I did it once every month for like, 6 months, and no one's throwing money at me. And it's like, correct. Yeah. That's what's supposed to happen. Nothing should be happening with that little bit of effort you put in.
With a capital cursive C. Correct. Yeah, because, you really do have to show up for a while when no one's looking. Mm-hmm. That's really when you have to show up so people can start looking, right? Yes. And people think that they'll show up when people start looking, and it's like, no. We have to start from the inside out, not from the outside in.
That's right.
And so, I was showing up maybe at least 3 to 4 times a week, probably for about, that was easily a year before Amex even, and then it was another 18 months before like somebody even presented me with money where I could pay my mortgage and finally bought my first MacBook and my first serious camera. So so about 2.5 full years before I made money for sure.
Yes, I love it. And I think that's so important to speak to the consistency piece, because it was the same for me. When I started my law practice, I made little piddly money. And like, it was year 2 that boom, suddenly I was making $300,000. Yep. Right? And I was barely getting by before and living off of my husband's savings and like piecing it together, right? And taking side jobs and do whatever we had to do. And then suddenly, boom, we're making more money than all my peers who graduated in the same class as me. And it's that consistency. And people want to skip that, and there is no skipping it.
The way there's just not, and it's interesting.
We would, because if there was a way to skip it, we literally would bottle it up and sell it to you, and make a lot of money. A lot more money than we make now.
Yes, exactly. We would be trillionaires. Exactly. Here's the skip consistency serum. You can get it now for $5,000.
That's right.
But and you cannot skip it. And it's interesting to me. I do think there's this idea that because you create content to promote your business online, there's something about the internet that people associate that it should be easier.
I know.
Because you don't associate it being easy with television.
Exactly.
You don't associate it being easy for the music industry. So I'm like, why do you think that you can scroll all day for free $99 and that it should just come easily to you?
Yes.
And so I always tell people, you are not entitled to it being easy for you. You have to show up just like anybody else.
Yes.
And all of our our hards are different. You know what I mean? Because we all come from different walks of life, but everybody's got to show up.
That's right.
Everybody does.
Everybody has to put in work, and you don't get to skip that part. And honestly, I don't feel sorry for you, right?
I just don't.
So when you're like, oh, I did work in 5 minutes, it's like, so?
My favorite thing is telling you, like, you're not special.
Exactly.
You don't get to skip this part.
Yes.
You're just not. I'm not special. I didn't get to skip this part. You know what I mean? Like, the consistency is an inevitable. It's a given. And I want everybody to go in with anything that they're doing and expect that it's going to take years for you to become the version that you want to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's worth it, because let me tell you something. The other side is magical.
Literally. Literally.
Listen, I'm so grateful for those early years that I was willing to put in, and I was willing to be broke for a little while. Baby. I was willing to drive a jalopy, gave up my nice car, gave up my house. Like, I rented it out, lived in the basement.
I love it. I love it.
Lived in a basement apartment.
Because everything costs something.
Yes, exactly. And you are not entitled to success. And if there's one thing people get out of this podcast, I hope it's that.
Me too.
Because listen, don't come at us with that nonsense.
Please don't.
Don't even bother.
Because I'm like, if Rachel had to start in 2010, if Mattie had to start in 2010, like, if everybody had to start from square one, why would you get to start at square four because it was hard?
Yes.
It's literally hard when you get on the other side too. So the reason why to me it's even harder to sustain it.
Yes. Oh yes. Absolutely. That's part of the heart as well. Really and the thing is like, as you grow this thing, you have to realize that you have to grow personally.
Yes.
And you have to be willing to be up for the next challenge. So like the first challenge is maybe getting the audience and then maybe learning how to negotiate deals or whatever, or get those clients in, right?
Yep.
And once you figure that out, okay, great. Now you got a new heart. Okay, there's too much work.
Yeah.
So now I gotta hire people, right? Now I gotta learn how to be a manager and a leader.
Yes.
Right? Like now I got new problems.
And I think it was Mommy who said it to me. She was like, it's hard being broke and it's hard having money. You just gotta pick your heart.
Choose your heart. And you know what? I've been both, and I'm gonna go with the money one.
The way I'm gonna it's gonna be hard with money over here.
Exactly. It's hard with money for me. I'm telling you, listen, I would much rather have that version of hard. Because the challenge is, what I don't worry about is eating.
Yes.
What I don't worry about is a roof over my head.
Yes.
And there were times in my life where I was absolutely worried about that. It consumed everything.
Absolutely.
And so having freedom from that is, you can't put a price tag on it. So to me, I will take these new challenges.
Absolutely.
Any day of the week.
You need me to be a leader? All right.
Exactly.
You need a decision? All right. We're going to figure it out.
I got to get up on stage and I don't know what I'm going to say. I'll do
That's
it. Fine. Exactly. Whatever it takes. Exactly. So tell me about, so now the Mattie James Company is a 7-figure business. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, now, how do you make money now? Is it the same way? And tell us just a little bit about what your company looks like now.
So we have the Mattie James Company, and we also have Bossfluence. So the Mattie James Company is where I do influencer marketing. So I create content for these brands, definitely at a higher scale. Because it was important to me. I just, there was one point in time where it was like every single week I was doing a paid brand partnership because I needed to put food on the table.
Yes.
And I lost my 9-to-5 in 2015, so I went full time, and it was the best thing that happened to me.
Yes.
Losing my job was the best thing.
I lost a job too that forced me to become an entrepreneur.
Real quick. I had the fast track.
Exactly. Because we need to check.
Exactly.
Okay, we need to pay these bills.
I had just had my first baby. Mesa wasn't even 1 yet, so I was like, okay. So I was like, I have a baby.
Nothing like a baby to motivate you.
Baby,
listen.
It's real life out here.
Exactly.
Real life out here. And so I'm really fortunate now. We can definitely do once a month and have scaled it much higher. And then also I think too, what a lot of people don't talk about, and I want to start this conversation more, it's just repeat business and actually having a partnership with these brands, right?
Yes.
Versus looking at it as transactional. It's about building that relationship. So we've been really fortunate with that. And then on the other side, Bossfluence, I have courses and programs where I teach influencers how to start, grow, and profit by pitching brands and leveraging their content.
Yes. Yeah. It's called diversified.
Yeah, it's giving diversified. I'm like, after here, I'm trying to get a ranch. We're trying to get into real estate, all of the
We got jets to buy.
I want matching jets. That's another episode.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that later. It's so true. I love that. That's beautiful. You've learned how to do this for yourself. I've seen the content that you create and your brand partnerships is absolutely stunning.
Thank you, Rachel.
I'm like, is there a studio behind this company? Like,
well, we do have a little studio. We took our basement, we completely just like renovated it. We moved into our home about 3 years ago, and the basement was unfinished, and we were like, let's make this like a studio.
Yes.
So that's where my husband, who is the CEO of the company, but he currently handles most of the production, so he'll edit.
Yes.
And so we're really fortunate. Like, we can live at our house, we can work at our house. Like,
Yes.
I find that really, I just am so grateful. I'm not jaded by that at all.
Yeah, I love that too. And we have that in common. We both have 3 little kids.
Yes.
We both have husbands who we work with.
Yes.
You know, so lots of things.
We both
work from home.
Yes. We've been have matching jets.
Yes, exactly. We've been have matching jets. Exactly. And we're both authors.
Yes, authors. Give it up for authors. I love it.
So tell me, what has the experience been like publishing this book and seeing the response to it and just having people have it in their hands?
It's a literal dream come true. It's a dream realized. It's easily the hardest thing for me. I can say writing a book was the hardest thing I've ever done professionally.
Yes.
It was the equivalent of giving birth. I
Yeah,
was like,
it's challenging.
I don't think I really understood how intense or just how difficult clearly articulating an idea in an entire book was until I had to do it. And I just had so much respect for every book that I've ever read in my life. Really. And it was really great because I was really excited too, because I was like, I also had the freedom to write what I wanted to write.
Yes.
So it was really cool to pitch this publisher and say, this is the kind of book I want to write. And then be like, all right,
yes,
you can do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it should not be any other way. Like, if you are not passionate and excited about that book, don't even bother writing it.
Don't even bother.
Because it won't even, I feel like it won't land the way that it needs to land if the heart's not in it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I was so genuinely excited.
Yes.
And I was more excited about writing the book than it was hard for me. So even though it was hard, it was still more important for this book to get out there.
Yes.
And I really just wanted the book to be a big permission slip.
Yes.
And I wanted to encourage others. That was my biggest thing. I didn't want to write a self-help book that told you that this is what you have to do to get this one result.
Here's your to-do list.
Here's your to-do list. Check it off.
Right.
It really is a framework, right?
Yes.
Everyday magic is about making every day meaningful, aesthetically pleasing, goal-oriented, intentional, and consistent. That's different for all of us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In different seasons of our lives. But to me, magic always matters.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to let you know that your magic matters,
Yes.
even if it's completely different than mine. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so that's been really great. And really, I wanted the book to be a resource. I wanted you to be able to go back to it. You know, that's been one of my favorite things. My dad, he's so cute. He was like, my mom was like, your dad literally has been in the room all day reading the book. And he read it in 2 days. Like, he's studying. He's like, but he was like, I'm so proud of you. Wrote an excellent book. Because he's like, this just proves to me that everyday magic is for everyone. It's not just for women. It's not just for moms.
That's right.
It's for everyone. He's like, I got so much from this. But he's like, the biggest thing is that this is a book that you could come to over and over again.
In different
and really,
seasons
in
of your
different
life.
Seasons.
Yes.
And I was really encouraged by that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. I found it like cathartic.
Oh, thank you.
Getting you know, those the stories, and like you immediately, I mean, permission slip is exactly how I would describe it, because I think right at the beginning you're saying like, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to put some work in, right? And that's the thing, is like, let's be able to hold a dichotomy and think about balance.
Yep.
I think sometimes we go to such extremes.
Absolutely, Rachel.
You know what I mean?
We are eye to eye on that, because I think that a lot of times, and I say this in the book, you know, some people are just like, oh my gosh, you're a superwoman, you do this and that and stuff like that. And it's like, baby, not super at all.
I loved that part.
A regular woman working
Yes.
her tail off, okay?
Yes.
And I want you to know that it takes quite the effort for me, just like it does for you. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But I understand what my magic is. I named what my magic is, and that's why I have the bandwidth to show up.
Yes.
Because I have a clear understanding of why I'm showing up.
Yes.
And I think once you understand your why, you just move different.
Yes.
That's why the first chapter is discovering your why, the magic of discovering your why. Because when you understand why every day even matters to you,
Yes.
the hard doesn't matter no more, right?
Yes.
It's like, I'm going to do the work anyway, because we
Exactly.
got to make this magic.
Exactly, and you start moving with purpose instead of responding to everything that's coming at you. You know what I mean? And being like, okay, how can I hit these things how can I make this day magical? Even if I have to go do something that's really challenging, even if I'm feeling super tired today, how can I make it a magical day? you know?
Yeah,
and I love that because you know what? We're not going to live forever.
We're just not.
Yes, unfortunately. So why don't we just really make the most of every single day? Not just the big highlight moments, but literally just the regular old day.
The regular old days, because I think, you know, again, social media can be a really great place, but then you just start seeing like people taking trips to Dubai. You see people's birthdays, you see anniversaries when they buy a home. These are all really great moments, but these are also special occasions. These are not things that happen every day.
Yes.
But does every day need to be a spectacle for it to matter to you?
Yup.
And a lot of times I'm like, do we actually, like, is our life good because of how we live it or because of how it looks online?
Yes.
And that's what I wanted to start peeling the layers back on.
I love that, especially as an influencer, right? Because I think people get very confused.
Yes, they do.
Being an influencer and even just experiencing influencers, right, on social media every day, right? Like you start to do everything for the gram.
Yes.
And then you have to ask yourself like, well, am I doing this because I want to do it or am I doing this so that I can photograph it and put it on?
So important.
You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, if it's work and this is a work day, that's fine. Yeah. But like, you don't want to have a 24/7 news cycle of your life.
Yes.
You know what I
It's
mean?
so important. You know what I mean? And I share a lot, but really in hindsight, I'm sharing about 20% of my life. You know what I mean? If my babies don't feel like being in front of the camera, they're very photogenic. They're very, very happy to be in front of the camera. But on the days they're not, I'm not going to stick a camera in their face for the sake of like getting likes, you know what I mean? Or getting laughs from my audience. Same thing. Like it's really important to me to make sure I honor my husband and his personal space versus again, trying to get likes because we look like the happy black couple doing it up and stuff like that. And it's like, girl, we are happy, but I don't even need to prove it to you. You know what I mean? If you're happy to see it, great. But you know, I used to have it backwards, you know, and I talk about it briefly in the book. In 2016, I had put my life on the back burner trying to look like I was living good instead of actually living good. And now I live so good that I don't even have to share it all the time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's so true. And I find that it's like those moments where you're chilling on the couch laughing where you're just like, wow, this is the best.
The best life. Like I genuinely, I don't have the perfect life, and I tell people all the time, my husband still get on my nerves because he's a husband.
Listen, they all do.
My kids still get on my nerves because they're my kids. You know what I mean? and work, we trifling some days. You be like, all right, let me get on this phone because they trying me today. You know what I mean? However, I really enjoy my life because I just am really grateful. Like I understand. I've been broke before. I've not had a job before. I've reached out to brands and they not respond to me before. So I understand what it took to get here. But everybody has a version of that. You know what I mean? If you think about anybody, even if you're not where you want to be now, if you think about where you were 5 years ago, you can sit in something that you are really grateful for right now. And that's really what I wanted to, again, give permission for. Like you can be grateful, you can be joyful. And there's something in all of us, I think, every single one of us, just because we're humans, we have experienced some kind of trauma, whether it's minor or extreme, that makes us believe that we're not enough, right? And the way we compensate with that often is by trying to be everything to everyone. And my whole purpose of this book really was to be like, you don't have to be everything to everyone because you are already complete as you are. You lack nothing. You lack nothing. Even if you're not where you're at, you lack nothing. You came with all the pieces you were supposed to have. You ain't lack a thing. You know what I mean? Now you might be in a certain phase that you may that might not be the end result that you want, but allow yourself to go through that process and you can still be joyful in every day. You're more than enough. And so that's really what it was about because that's really my journey. I used to just like try to overcompensate. When I got married, I thought like marriage looked like this. I had such an outdated just like concept of marriage and what I thought it should be. And like Chris would look at me like, I didn't ask you to do any of this.
I don't care about none of that.
I just want to be clear that you're doing this.
Exactly. This was not on my request list.
So I had to like free myself, you know what I mean? And therapy definitely helped. And just like, you know, watching the women in my life that I really love and respect and seeing how they navigate, whether they were married or single, just being like, oh, you know what? I really like how she does that. And that gives me permission too. And I think that's what it is. I think when we are unapologetic about shining our light and really deliberate about how we live day to day, it's incredibly permissive.
Exactly. And when you expose yourself to other people, then you can kind of collect, oh, I like that. That's not for me.
Right.
But this part, that's how I want to show up. This is what kind of mother I want to be. This is what kind of wife I want to be. This is what kind of boss I want to be. What kind of businesswoman I want to be. And I think that's beautiful. I feel like this book is really great for anybody on the journey to where they're trying to go, which I guess we all are. But if you feel like, oh, I'm trying to build my first, $1 million business or whatever it is that you're trying to do, I love this book because I feel like it's teaching you how to have joy in the process. Because I think sometimes, and I used to be guilty of this, like we're so futuristic and we're so like, well, in 5 years, I'll be happy when I accomplish X goal. And it's like, what if you don't make it?
Come on.
Like,
you're not entitled to tomorrow.
Yes.
You're just not.
Yes.
So you got to be joyful today.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that there is joy in the work.
Yes.
There is joy in the work. Like my favorite days truly are when I have just had it with everyone. Right? Where you just had it with everyone, right? And so I'm wrangling my 2-year-old and getting him in the tub, and he just says or does something that just makes me laugh from my core.
Yes.
Where it's like, girl, your life is so great that even in your most annoying moment that you can find this moment of joy. And so it's really important to also just keep things in perspective.
Yes.
That's why operating in purpose is so huge. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to get distracted by what you don't have, what it looked like somebody may have, because that's really what it is. We don't really know what other people have. We know what it might look like. You know what I mean?
We know like, oh, that's the end result, but we don't think about all the work and all the late nights and all the effort that went into that. Like having that great marriage takes a lot of work and going through some dark moments sometimes.
Dark moments, therapy.
Yes.
You don't know.
Listen, several rounds of therapy.
As someone who has reconciled her marriage, baby, that was a process.
Yes.
But I wouldn't trade it for the world. That was work well worth it for myself and for my family. And so it's important for you to be able to say, you know what, this is hard as hell, but it's worth it for what is my magic, what season I'm in, and where I'm trying to go.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, like, how did you come up with the magic formula? What made you choose those things? And one of the things that really stood out to me was aesthetically pleasing. Because that's not what people don't usually include that in like a self-help. It's, it's almost like you're sort of shunned to not care about that. And I think that your environment matters.
Absolutely.
And what you're experiencing, what you're taking in. So I was like really struck by that. So tell me like what made you come up with this particular formula and that piece as well?
So when we reconciled our marriage in 2016, I really had to kind of step back and look at myself even before I looked at my marriage. And I was like, okay, honey, what actually matters to you?
Yes.
And we're so fortunate. We both come from close-knit families. And so I knew that family really mattered to us and things that were meaningful, like traditions. So meaningful was huge for me.
Yes.
But as somebody who created lifestyle content, my mom has literally worked for a cosmetics company since the day I was born. Like they literally came to this country and she went to cosmetology school. She sold Avon. She sold Mary Kay. She worked for Clinique for 20 years. So seeing things be put together beautifully has just always been, my mom's an incredible homemaker. That is absolutely where I get it from. And so what I realized is that really contributed to my joy.
Yes.
And not in this shallow way, because I never put things over people. You know what I mean? I talk about this in the book. Like I'm a materialistic person, but I think in a really...
I love it.
Because I was like, let me be honest,
Listen,
y'all.
I'm not here to be a minimalist, okay?
Now, if that's your ministry, by all means, work it out.
It takes all kinds.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? You're a minimalist, I'm a maximalist. So I'm just saying. But, things are not more important than my family or, how I treat others. But
things can contribute to joy, though.
1,000%.
Yes.
And it's different for all of us. And that's why it was important to me to name it as aesthetically pleasing, because when it comes to aesthetics, when you look up the actual definition, it's literally something that you deem beautiful. So it's for you to name, not for me. So it wasn't for me to be like, ooh, pretty or gorgeous or presentable.
Yes.
It's your aesthetic.
Yes.
I can't name Rachel's aesthetic because I'm not Rachel.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I can only name Mattie's aesthetic. And so, I had seasons. What I realized is even when I had a little bit, when we were engaged and living in an apartment, making our space look nice was really great. To me, it really did contribute to my self-care. I love what you said on your podcast episode with your husband, where you were like, your home being in order contributes to your self-care. It's huge. Right. And I say this in the book, when things are out of order, like literally, like when something doesn't work in a public bathroom, the sign says out of order. Because when things are out of order, they don't work.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to go in there.
Who want to go in the out of order song? And I don't want to be in an out of order life. So we got to keep things together. That's all I'm saying, So it's important to me, and I think, organization, order, that contributes to aesthetics, whether you are really into sneakers or you're really into dresses or whatever it is, But aesthetics was really important because aesthetics is also not limited to visual. This is what you listen to. Like, since the kids were little, we've always listened to waves or sounds of water to put them to sleep.
I love that.
I do, and I shared this in the book. I buy this like $8 lavender spray, and I think girl, baby, anything to get these kids to sleep. Let's get them to sleep.
Spray them down.
Spray them down.
Go to bed, honey.
I spray in the bathroom when they not looking. I spray their little pillows. All right, love you. Mom, I'm sleepy. I know.
Mommy knows.
Yeah. As long as it's healthy, it's not, it's not, it's like, so anything but like that lavender scent is also just like a cue. It conditions you. It's just a cue to say that, you know what, I'm relaxing. Low lights, that's another aesthetically pleasing, but another way to say, hey, it's time to chill out.
Yes.
We, on Saturday mornings, and we started this before we had kids, we always listen to either Afro-Cuban music or New Orleans funk music on our Pandora. And so that's another way. So Saturday morning So
basically you've made your kids cool.
I've made my kids cool. I think every household, whether you have 5 kids or you are single and with your pet, I think everybody should have a soundtrack in their house. The soundtrack of our house is Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life.
Yes.
So when my kids hear Stevie Wonder, even 30 years from now, they'll think of home. I want them to feel safe when they just hear certain sounds or see certain things. And it's really about just creating cues of music, of magic, rather, And so aesthetics isn't just about one sense. It's about all the senses. And I think a lot of times we underestimate that.
I totally agree. The soundtrack in my house is the Vibes and Culture playlist that I put together, which is all like old school reggae.
Yes.
And my children, I will hear them humming it and singing, Barrington Levy. And I'm like, you better go ahead. I say, Mommy's proud.
Yes, I love it. It's important. I love that. Even though my oldest is 8 years old, like when you say Anita to her, she gonna say Baker. When you say Stevie, she's gonna say Wonder.
You better know about it.
We're setting standards here, okay? Aesthetically pleasing standards, But that's important, and it really is comforting. I think when we put on certain sounds, the kids either know like we're about to have Saturday morning pancakes or it's time to go to bed, And that's been really, really huge. I know for my husband, especially since he doesn't go into an office anymore, sneakers have become his aesthetically pleasing thing. And so I think it's
mine too.
Yeah,
they got a whole walk-in closet every day. I'm like, what is this? Is this another pair?
Is this new?
I'm like, when did these come? Oh, I've been had those. You lying.
I ain't never seen this green pair before.
I love it. And I love the lavender spray and the music. It's just examples of exactly how you can create everyday magic, right? Little moments of joy. It doesn't have to cost you anything.
Exactly.
And it just adds a little something. It creates a meaningful moment, right? And it's a way to connect, and it's beautiful. Yeah. This actually reminds me of my bestie, Robert Hartwell, who's hilarious, and he always got his prosperity spray. I was like, get out of here with your prosperity spray. He'd be like, I'm going to spray you down.
Yes. Come on, prosperity.
He's like, I'm not feeling that energy. Let me hit you with this prosperity spray. I'd be like, if you don't, I'm going to toss that prosperity spray out this window.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
He was like, listen, I'll be on Zoom with him or on a FaceTime and he'll be like spraying the
That is hilarious. So funny. Well, it's like my best friend with her, she's so into hats. She's so into hats. Like, and every time I see her, I'm like, okay, wait, you got a new hat? What's going on with that? But it's like it's another, also it's a way to create confidence for yourself and safety. I think, my really good friend Tracy GC said this the other day to me, and I was kind of blown away. She's like, aesthetics make you feel safe.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa, man. That was so really deep. Yeah, when you wear something that makes you feel confident, you walk into a room feeling safe, not just confident. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Aesthetics is about safety.
That's so important, and it's not talked about enough. I'm so glad that really perked my interest when I saw that was part of the formula, because I was just like, I don't think we think about this enough. Even just like this environment, right? Like, part of the reason why I chose white furniture and everything being like off-white was to create calm.
Yes.
And make it peaceful.
Literally. Like, that is literally why all the tones in our bedroom are literally, like, this is in my bedroom, like, all of the tones, it's like a super, super soft sage green. Like, when you walk into the room, it just feels like calm.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We don't have a television in our bedroom. I'm like, when I walk in here, I want it to be a sanctuary. That's what I wanted. Because I was like, pretty much the rest of the house is either for work or the kids.
Yeah.
So when I walk in here, I need to feel
the only
calm.
place.
I want to walk in somewhere I can feel calm, feel like myself, and just relax. And I think that's important. And I get it, where it can definitely lean on the side of being overly materialistic. But if we start, again, understanding why we have something aesthetically pleasing in our lives, then you can really unlayer the power of how it makes you feel safe, how it makes you exclusively feel like you, make your family feel like them. And I think that's important.
I agree. And you're buying things not because somebody else is buying them and you think you're supposed to and you're trying to show off to somebody, but you're buying them because they're meaningful to you.
Yes.
There's intention behind it.
Absolutely.
And I think, to me, that's the sense that I get, that you just are very intentional about how you live your life, right?
Oh, thank you.
Every aspect of it, right? Like even from charcuterie boards.
Yes. Now, you know I like me a charcuterie. Here's what I like, though, because it's like kind of charcuterie. I call it Mattie Cooterie, because it's really like an everyday board. Because at first I started doing the cheeses and the different meats and stuff like that. But then I was like, what happened was we do movie night every Saturday.
Yes.
And now that all the kids are of age, everybody has a preference. Everybody likes different snacks. So I was like, well, what if we made a board with like a variety of snacks that everybody likes, they can grab, you know? And so what it really did was create accessibility to like people's preferences.
Yes.
And so now to me, it's like, you know, it's on a board, but it's like, it can be an after school snack board. You know what I mean? It could be a cheese and, meat board for you and your bestie when she comes over.
Yes.
But I feel like they're like boards just kind of, I do it for my kids because kids get told what to do pretty much almost 90% of their day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And the after school board or the movie night board is a way where it's like, hey, you get to pick. You get to decide. You have jurisdiction on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so that's why I really like it. And then now it's just kind of become a thing. I shared it on Instagram one day thinking, I'm like, Chad, ain't nobody gonna look at this.
And everybody's obsessed.
Now it's become a thing. And I was like,
we're like, show us more. What else are you creating?
Like, if I don't show it on a Saturday, people are like, so did you make a movie night board? Or what's going on? Are you guys having movie night? And it's like, yeah, I might have not.
What you doing this weekend?
Yeah.
I'm y'all all in my business.
What movie are y'all watching? All right. We're watching Paw Patrol. Sorry.
Exactly. They're like, give us the tips. Give us the tips. Okay. So tell me, what are some of the pressures that you face as a lifestyle influencer?
Well, I definitely think there's this pressure to like keep up with the trends.
Oh,
for
totally.
Sure, right?
Just like you were saying, right, where you started with the celebrity blogging.
Yeah.
And feeling like, oh, I got to keep up with the news cycle.
Absolutely.
It's almost like there's a different news cycle now.
Literally.
That's what
And it's like the sales.
This is trending.
Yes.
You better go do the dance.
It's like, what, it's Prime Day. It's this day. It's that sale. It's everything. It's Black Friday. So there's a lot, and then I think, sometimes brand partners can try to impose it on you. And I think I try to live my life in a way so I can run my business in a way that is genuinely authentic.
Yes.
And also, I have no problem selling anything to anybody, but if that becomes the only reason why I'm doing a thing, then it starts to feel gross.
Yes.
Not only for me, but then for my audience.
Yes.
And so for me, I had to get out of even like how I dress. I feel like I feel safest and most like myself when what I wear reads classic and feminine. It just makes me feel most like me. And so instead of keeping up with all the trends and buying all this denim and this and that, it's just kind of like, well, girl, 80% of the time I'm gonna be in a dress. So if you don't like dresses, then my style isn't for you. You can stay, you can follow, but
come
that's
hang out, stay for the charcuterie board.
Stay for the charcuterie board. But here it's gonna be like classics. You know what I mean? It's gonna read preppy and classic, or it's gonna read noticeably feminine. And what I noticed is that like even like my affiliate marketing numbers started going up just because it was like I was genuinely me.
Yes.
And you start to attract people who really rock with that.
Exactly.
Because there's a level of consistency there.
Yes.
And so for me it was really about kind of detaching because things can become so transactional online.
Yes. I agree.
And I was like, it's just not a match for me.
Yes.
It's like, okay, guys, this is what I share. This is what I do.
Yes.
And just starting to be honest with myself. And also being like, are you okay with being yourself online at the expense of losing followers?
Yes. What a great question.
Yeah.
And that's great for every entrepreneur to hear. Are you okay with losing clients? Yes. Are you okay with losing people in your audience?
Yes.
Being your authentic self.
Yes.
Like that's how you create everyday magic, right? That's what I got.
That's the prerequisite.
Yes, exactly. And so like I don't care who likes it or don't like it. I just have to let go and not try to create what everybody else wants to create, which is exactly the point, right?
We say it all the time. It's like, child, everybody out there not gonna like you.
They ain't gonna like you.
So you might as well do what you want to do.
They ain't gonna like you. Even when you jump through all the hoops, they still ain't gonna like you.
They're gonna find a reason to not like it.
Yes.
So it's like you've got to show up for you. You've got to show up for the people who matter to you, your village, your crew, whether it's your real life, your crew, like your family in real life, or even the followers and clients that really rock with you.
I agree.
And then what I have found is, I have people who are like, oh my gosh, I love this. I've been wanting to wear more dresses, and you've really encouraged me to do that.
Yes.
And that's fine, even if you don't. But it's always great to encourage somebody when I'm being myself. That's the best feeling.
And I think you attract more people when you're being yourself as well.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So tell us what's next for you. What's a project that you're working on right now or something that you want to make happen in the near future?
Okay, so I'll tell you guys here. I haven't really said it out loud.
Okay, give us the exclusive.
So anybody who follows me knows how seriously I take meal planning and just writing in my planner, because there's a lot going on. When you have 3 kids, you need to write things down because you're not going to remember it all. And so one thing that I would love to do is come out with a planner.
Oh, I love this plan.
Yeah, because I really want to get into physical products. And I was like, I feel like this is going to be a really great way to connect with my audience in an authentic way that's really, really true to who I am and what I actually talk about. I didn't want to like a random product where it's like, girl, you don't even talk about this. So why are you selling it to us? So I think planners is definitely going to be the next step,
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. I think we are ready for that planner.
Look, stay tuned for an Everyday Magic planner.
We ready for it. We ready for it. Okay, so tell us, give us parting words or any parting wisdom that you want to share with the audience about how they can create everyday magic in their lives.
Everyday magic really isn't this place that you're going to arrive. It is your everyday journey. You don't have to pretend to be able to be everything to everyone. You lack nothing. And I think sometimes we think that we're not enough. Like there's some kind of just little, there's a little doubt monster on each of our shoulders and tries to convince us like, oh, well, that wasn't nice enough. Or, you didn't really push hard enough. Or,
I give that a C.
Yeah, I give that a C, And what I want to encourage people is that I want you to practice this for the rest of the year. No matter when you're listening to this, whether it's January, whether it's October, for the rest of the year, I want you to promise yourself that anytime you have a negative thought about yourself, I want you to say the opposite out loud. So if you think like, oh, I look ugly in this outfit, like say I'm beautiful and I'm comfortable in my skin, I want you to get in the habit of actively affirming yourself. Because when you believe that you are a good thing, you go out and you create good things. When you truly believe that you are magic, you go out and you create it. And you are. You know what I mean? And if you need to, fake it till you make it, I want you to tell yourself good things until you believe that you're a good thing. And that really everyday magic is when you realize that being your true authentic self every day in the best way possible that you can is really the true magic.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ray.
This is amazing.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I had no idea where I was on time. I was like, ain't nobody giving me 5 minutes.
Everybody's locked in. You're like, so what else?